On you.
Hi Knight, how you doing today?
Really good. That was a tough climb. It was a little bit scary, a lot of bit scary, and it's just gorgeous. And I'm happy to be out here with you.
And where are we today?
Lover's Leap, so let's not leap on the middle of a cliff. Yeah, pitch 3.
So Knight is here with us today. He's the owner and CEO of Cairn Leadership Strategies and an avid rock climber. Before that, he was a SH-60 Bravo pilot for U.S. Navy and still is a reservist. And he's got lots of leadership experience. I'm excited. You?
Awesome. Rock climbing and leadership.
So we've got a couple questions for you. The first one being, what are your core values?
That's such a good question. We hit core values in everything we do, because if you don't know your core values, you can't base your actions on, who you want to be and who you want to aspire to be. So for me, it's adventure, love, and virtue. If we're not exploring and learning and curious and out here enjoying things like this and pushing our limits on adventures, like, we're not really fulfilling our potential as humans. We're not really living life to the fullest. Love is incredibly important. I think it's the purpose of life. It's what connects us. And I think of love as patience, kindness, and humility. Being kind, putting other people first, trying to always not be selfish and humble. And it's hard, and I mess up often, but it's a worthy pursuit. And then virtue is just the pursuit of excellence as a human being. And funny enough, I don't even know what that looks like. I don't know if anyone does, but it's a worthy journey, and always trying to pursue excellence, trying to get to that ideal state as a human and helping other people to do that. It makes life worthwhile.
Awesome. Those sound like some pretty solid and well thought out values.
Yeah, I think about it a lot.
So next question, how do those, or does that at all affect your leadership philosophy?
It boils down to loving your people, loving yourself, and expecting a mess. If you're not loving your people, like, you're not going to inspire them. And if you don't put them first, you're not really leading them. But if you're not loving yourself, you're just going to fall apart. It's so easy to just put your people first all the time. And that doesn't work. And then everything's always messy, especially in leadership. Like, that's what we signed up for. And I didn't get that at first. I thought, people were supposed to do a job and I was tracking the job, and I'd get frustrated when people had problems and get frustrated at my messy people. And finally I realized, like, that's what they pay me for, not managing problems. That's a product manager or something like that. But I think really a philosophy, if you boiled it down, would just be balance. There's so many things, there's so many leadership books, like, you have to be authentic, you have to be, have solitude and be the directive leader, you have to be inclusive and create community. These are all just polarities, and if you can balance them effectively, then you can be a really good leader. But if you think that you can just be directive, or just be like, hey, let's all hug and have fun, like, there are times and places for both of those, and great leaders find that balance. So I'm always searching for that balance. I seldom get it, but I'm always looking for it.
So next question, why rock climbing? What does that do for you in leadership?
Yeah, I think maybe the thing that holds us back in leadership and life and everything we want to do is fear. And there's nowhere else. I mean, I have some fear sweat going on right now. Fear just holds us back, are afraid to ask the question, afraid to push a boundary, afraid to take the extra step. And rock climbing, you always are grappling with fear. You place a piece and you get 3 moves above it and there's nowhere to place a piece, and you're freaking out and you're shaking. And unlike any other activity I know of, you can't really turn around. There's a point when you're climbing where either you're going to get a helicopter ride or you're going to push through that boundary. And I think you can practice that. I think you can confront those fears. There are many times when I have tears in the corners of my eyes and I'm like, I wish I hadn't come out here. And then 10 minutes later, I'm elated and I'm like, oh my gosh, what else can I do? And we see that with clients all the time. We take them climbing and they're like, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to go do all my dreams, because if I can do that, I can do anything. And it's just this amazing rush. And I also love it because it's kind of forced mindfulness. Like when you're climbing, you can't be thinking about, well, what am I going to do with the business, or what is this problem, or how am I going to tackle this, or what's for lunch. Like you cannot think that. You just need to think. You don't even think. You're just moving your weight and trying to find the right friction and figuring out where to go next. It's just a really nice place to let go, to stop thinking for a minute. In terms of leadership, you have to manage risk, and it comes back to balance, right? Like pushing boundaries and confronting fears. But if I did a climb that's way out of my grade, I'm gonna fall and get seriously injured, or I'm gonna get a helicopter ride. Neither of which, well, a helicopter ride would be awesome, only if I'm flying it.
Yeah.
Neither of those is good, right? So I have to balance, what's my capacity? What can I do? What are my skills? How do I manage risk? Like right here, we have rocks everywhere. We got to be really careful not to knock them down on people, and leadership is the same. You're always looking for like, what's the risk? What's going on with your people? What are the things that are going to come up down the road? You're the person that's looking for the vision, trying to figure out what comes next. And you have to do that all the time out here. You're just not safe.
Sounds like you've thought about this a lot, but you're talking a lot about risk. So how does that kind of drive with rock climbing being somewhat selfish? It seems like it could be if you got a family, a career, wife.
Yeah,
I want you alive.
Here we are. Yeah, my grade went down pretty far when we had our daughter. It was like, man, I can't get hurt, and it does feel pretty selfish sometimes. At the same time, it's where I come to release. It's where there were times with Cairn Leadership, I was like, I can't do this. There's no way. I need to like get a job, just quit. I'm not cut out for it. And then just happened to have a climbing trip and got on a big climb on NJ Tree, and right in the middle of it was like, I can't do this. There's no way. I need to quit. I can't do this, and I have to obviously push through. And then by the time I get to the top, I'm like, wait, if I can do that, I can do the business, right? If I didn't have that mental coach, that opportunity to confront fears, that way to think and kind of let go, like we know all our best ideas come outside, running, biking, just not thinking about the problem. And this is, like I say, a place where you're forced not to think about the problem. So I think in terms of moving the business forward, in terms of me being sane, if I stay inside for more than a week or two, I start getting real cranky, as you know.
Day or two?
It doesn't, it doesn't have to be rock climbing, but rock climbing just, again, it opens up all these possibilities for you.
Awesome. What's your one piece of advice?
Yeah, for someone to become a more excellent leader at any level, I just say ask questions. This is a funny and embarrassing story. When I started leading, I had a day check and a night check, and everyone kept talking about night check, and I was just too freaking afraid to look dumb to ask, like, what's a night check? And finally, like 6 months in, I asked one of my sailors, like, hey, can you talk about this stuff? I got a bunch of questions. He's like, of course, like, it would be nice for you to know some stuff. And I asked, what's a night check? He's like, oh, those are all the sailors that work for you at night. And I was like, holy crap, like I have a whole nother group of sailors I didn't even know about. Like, what terrible leadership. And that goes to every level. There's a great book out there, Turn the Ship Around, and the captain of a nuclear submarine, that's the way that he leads. He asks questions, and we have our ego, and we're like, oh, I'm afraid to ask a question, or I don't want to ask a question, I look dumb. But man, you got to know your stuff. You got to be competent. You can't just be like, well, what's a rope? Like, that would not make you comfortable out here climbing with me, right? But asking the right questions is a powerful thing for leadership and moves you forward fast.
Sounds like some really good advice and a pearl. So asking questions to help kind of not only learn more about what your people do, but also probably about yourself and everything that you're doing.
Yeah, curiosity.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, my next question is, how do we get down from here? So maybe we should figure that out.
Sounds like a plan. I thought we were hiking off. See y'all next time.